What's up, everybody? Well, how you guys doing? Sorry for the long span of time without uploading anything. I don't even can't even begin to tell you what's been going on. But I got something here I'm working on here. As you may be familiar with this body here, this was on the TRX4 High Trail, and then I put it on in another. I made it ended up putting it on the Red Cat Wendigo, which I still have, which is right here. Now, I've only under what I'm doing here with the Wendigo is something I've seen a lot of people kind of swapping into trying or changing this up into doing, turning the Wendigo from a rock bouncer basher thing into more crawler specific. And that's the route I went as well. But one problem I have noticed time and time again with this Wendigo chassis is the steering. This used to be, as you could see from here in that area, I cut and ground off, were the mounts for the steering servo on frame. However, I've only seen all the research I've done on these Wendigos to make steering servo on axle mounts for the stock Wendigo axle. I've only seen one other person do it. So I took what I learned from him and what he's did, and I applied it and maybe tried a few other different things on mine to use what I had. Number one, use what I have, because I didn't have a lot of money to try and buy or anything else. So I kind of had to make or fabricate or do whatever. I used what I got to make it work. And two, I wanted to try and see if I can do this, but as well get it done today so I could try and test it back out in the yard today. So what I got going on here is this is a steering servo mount for the axle off of this mount here is off of this axle. And this axle, which originally the steering servo mount was right here. And you get your steering from there, left and right, all that. And I unscrewed that steering servo mount from here, which this was originally a 4-link truck too, so off of a monster truck. This axle came off of a MST MX1 monster truck, for those who are wondering. Unfortunately, the monster truck's discontinued, but if you could find someone that has these parts, or even somebody who has another type of steering servo mount off of a monster truck or whatever, or even if you can get one off of the Red Cat Everest, or anywhere you can find a steering servo axle mount, you could use that steering servo axle mount to mount to your Red Cat Wendigo axle, like I did. Now, here's what I did. As you can see here, there also is no more 3-link. The panhard bar is gone, because what I ended up doing in the factory frame right here, there's a bolt that goes through here, through the frame and into this area here originally. So what I did is use the original panhard bar in that location, with the bend facing that exact way that you can see right there. And what that allows is allowed me to get over the transmission hump and that transmission there, off to the side of it. And when the springs are actually hooked up, it sits up a little higher so there's no clearance. And I did check when I had it all back together, because I just took it apart to tighten up a few things. But you still got all your suspension flex. You know, so that worked out. And then I was allowed to use. It allowed me to use parts I already had. Which is the factory pan hard bar. So I end up just drilling tapping these holes for this steering servo mount to the factory Wendigo axle in the center, obviously, of the axle, because the pumpkin itself is not centered, obviously. But as centered as my measurements as I could get it, I had mounted that there. And you could see here, I had to use some kind of spacer, which I used a nut and some other stuff. If you have other spacers too, like something like this, that'll work too. Whatever you got to do, just to get it to work, because you could see the truss. Now you could see it. I went into the truss itself. I did not go into the axle, because as you see right here, there's an axle that screws to the truss that screws to the axle housing on these Wendigos, and that's where you get your strength from. So if you drill into it, you're only going to drill a little into the truss itself, not into the axle the axle tubes. And that's where you get your mounted. Then from there, after reusing everything else, this lower control arm as well was in its original location. But what I did, as you can see here, I mounted that back in its original location. And being that this had a curve to it, I moved this lower control arm to the outside. Put the locking nut on it. Bam, done. And then the upper links, go right back to the factory location as well. And what I did with these is, these have that bend curve naturally too, which were facing downward. But when they're facing downward, they hit this link here, the lower link. So I twisted them up off to the side like that, so now there's no more interference between the lower link and the top link. So that helped out me there. Granted, I'll probably lose a little clearance from the ground to these, but that's fine with these big old goober 2.2 tires that I have. I'm not too worried about that. But I want it functional, I want it strong, I want it to work, and it does. It definitely does. So, that'll work. I did have to change my shocks because one of them was binding, but these are random shocks I had in the drawer. They don't have a lot of travel stop to them, because they just that little bit of travel, versus these, they were on it. I got a little bit more travel, but this one here I had to change because this one ended up sticking. Now it's not. It's just making a liar out of me. But those springs might have been a little stiff too. Maybe if I tried putting these springs on there, I don't know. But another time. For now, I'm going to run it with these front springs, and then maybe I'll even just probably get a different set altogether of crawler springs. But that's that there. And now that the steering servo is mounted on the axle, I had to get a different link, because this here is the original link. And this is obviously a bit too long to go from here to the steering servo. It's too long, as you can see. So I found this shorter link in my drawer, so I could utilize this shorter link right here and still have my wheels straight. And I did turn the truck on. I have the battery in it. I turned it on so I could center the steering servo with the controller before I even went crazy doing all that and putting that on. So now it'll be straight and I'll have no more bump steer, which I can show you. Alright, as you can see now, we got the springs hooked back up. There. There. And the steering is hooked back up. So now with the controller here, plenty of throw in the steering and no bump steer on the axle. The axle ain't moving. And like I said, these shocks kind of suck. There isn't a lot of travel. It stops at the bumps there. But they'll do for now, but everything is maybe if I adjust them a little more, I can get more out of them, but for now they're gonna last, do what I want, do what I need them to. So the steering, everything's good. So the only thing left to do now is going to be throw the wheels back on, throw the body back on, and test it outside and see how it does. So there you go. That's going to do it for now. Keep an eye out for the testing video, and I will see you guys then. Peace out. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe if you're not already, and share the videos. Help this channel grow, and check back in next time, and see you guys and gals then. Peace out.